Okay, again.
All right.
Hello, mate.
Hello, guys.
Thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks for inviting me.
How's it going?
I'm all right, I'm all right. A few meetings today and then thought I'd come down here afternoon and the weekend.
Yeah.
We've been trying to get him on for weeks, and in fact, when we started it, you probably were one of the first names that we discussed. Partly because we just love going into your place, but
Yeah,
I reckon there's a story behind it.
Yeah, huge fans.
Yeah.
And it's such a unique venue, Ropes and Twines, in terms of like, it's not a bar, it's not a cafe, it's not a coffee shop.
Yeah.
But it's also has a bit of an art gallery as well.
It's a bit of everything, and it started off, and it's one of them places that you kind of become an adult when you walk in. so you get people who are grown up who act like kids, but then they come in and they become an adult.
Yeah,
and it's one of them. And coffee shops originally started in 1800s in London, and what it was where the stock exchange started. So if you look at the history of coffee shops, that's how stock exchange started. As in, people used to go there and have a chat and exchange stocks on paper, and then the London Stock Exchange started in a coffee shop. But it was all kind of a rich kind of environment where people come in and have a rant and complain. Politicians, businessmen come in to a coffee shop and rant about things. So in general, it was all kind of an adult kind of thing, coffee shops.
Yeah.
It was only in the last 10 years that it became kind of a social place.
Okay. So what was the score behind your place then? Behind sort of making it that unique venue, three venues in one?
It was kind of a place where I struggled a bit in Liverpool trying to find a place where you can just kind of think. So some places got a bit loud, some people got a bit busy, but then I just wanted a place that was just kind of like simple. And then we struggled for a glass of wine. So I lived in London for a few years. And then and when I lived in London, it took me 6 months to walk into a wine bar. So I had mates who were Cypriots, who was from Singapore, who were from all around the world, and they were like, let's go to a wine bar. And I was like, nah, we're going to the pub, because that's all we knew. But like, I was born and bred as a Scouser. I was Chinese, but then I was born here, so all we knew was a pub. So then we kind of came, and one day they just dragged me into the wine bar, and I realised like the conversation wasn't as bad, it wasn't as snobby. It was kind of intellectual. It was quite quiet, and I thought, well, that was quite nice. And it got me thinking why people wouldn't go to a wine bar in Liverpool, and it was only because we weren't accessed to a wine bar, to a place where we can actually just talk to people, to kind of just enjoy what we're doing, enjoying the company of who we're with at the time. So
yeah.
The challenge was when we found the venue, we found Bow Street. We thought if we're going to do something that was going to challenge Liverpool, it has to be on a street that's quite dominant. And in Liverpool, there isn't many dominant streets. There's Castle Street, there's Bow Street. There's not many with like a staple kind of backing. So we found Bow Street, but then we realised that when we're trying to challenge something that's just wine based in a city that's not used to, we have to diversify what we do. And Bow Street kind of had like this heavy footfall during the day that we had to diversify in without destroying the initial idea of what it was. And we just thought, if we incorporate the coffee side of it into it, then it'll kind of make the place even more, make the business function where, so make it more sustainable to afford rent and staff and so on. It'd be solely just open as a wine bar. It'd be a bit more challenging because the coffee helps, and the coffee doesn't work, then the wine helps.
Yeah.
So it kind of making the venue make more revenues coming in. So recently we kind of discovered that to make wine bars good, we have to make it more accessible to people. So therefore we kind of we've introduced so we got our off license, so we introduced buying retail wines now. So we sell retail wines, and to drink in our retail wines, we just charge a corkage of £7, and that's just to make wines a bit more accessible to people, because in their mindset, the £7 is to pay for the service, the venue, where you are, everything that comes with it.
Yeah.
But the wine what you're getting is exactly the same price as wines that you'll get anywhere else. So therefore, it's quite mad because there's wines there that are like £11, and then you drink in for like 18, and there's a wine there that retails at 175, and you drink in for 180 quid. So therefore, you realise that actually, but it's £180, but anywhere else would have been 300.
Yeah.
Easily like 250 plus.
Yeah.
So therefore, we're trying to make wine accessible to people so they can encourage them to drink better wines.
Why is there such an insane markup on wine in restaurants and bars?
I think in general, people have got to make money. It's sensible to do it, but I just feel people, when you have food, the drinks come with it. So it's an easy way to make more money than the actual food.
Yeah.
I think the drink bill is much bigger than your food bill most of the time. You know, so.
I feel like it's business in general, though. You get different... There's often two different types of businesses in the way that they make money, in terms of, like... There's a lot of businesses that think transactionally and try and make the most out of each individual transaction. But then there's others who look long-term.
Yeah.
And I get the impression from your place, because we are frequent customers, that you're more about building long-term relationships with people and having people come back and tell their friends and bring their wives and so on.
Loyalty, the way we, with the family background, we're talking about, we used to have restaurants going back, 30 years ago. And back then, growing a business was actually getting to know the business owner, getting to know their kids, their family, like us. And you kind of grow, because you kind of grow together in communities. Like, the funny story was, we started off as a fish and chip shop, and before you know it, when you go back, you've had their generations, their mum and dads, and a couple of generations now who's been going to the chippy.
Where was the original chippy?
Muirhead Avenue East, TSO's. It's still going.
Yeah.
It's 30 plus years old. Yeah.
So was it just fish and chips? You weren't even doing Chinese food?
Oh no, we're
then?
doing Chinese food,
Yeah,
but like
okay.
a fish and chips Chinese food, and it's still going. And
that's like 30 years ago?
It's more than that now, probably.
Wow.
Yeah. It's
And then-
about 35 years now.
Because every chippy does Chinese now, doesn't it? Pretty much, even like your English chippies.
But it's still going now, still going strong.
Yeah.
And then you've moved to the restaurant, which obviously a lot of people know your family for in Chinatown.
Yeah. So my dad moved to a restaurant on Rice Lane, which is the Princess Garden, which he started. He's quite an ambitious guy. So he passed away last year. So, but he's quite an ambitious guy, as in, until you actually go back to where he come from, you kind of realise what he had. But he single-handedly took his whole family out of poverty.
Yeah,
single-handedly. So he kind of he smuggled into Hong Kong. So Hong Kong wasn't part of China. So he went with 10 of his mates, and they kind of swam over, basically like the Mexico and Texas kind of. Really. So he swam over. He reached the other side of Hong Kong and managed to get, but his other mates never survived. They all died at sea. And that in a mental kind of state is quite like daunting. Like, you went with your mates, but none of your mates, you're the only one that kind of made it through. But at the same time, he had his wife, my mum, with the eldest child, and she was pregnant with another child. So he left, not knowing whether he's ever going to come back. And then he worked a few years, then managed to find his way into this country. And then you leave a country that you don't even speak a language, and you don't even know anyone, and then you're trying to start up and make a business, and then from making one business to another business, and then have the mentality to go, actually, we're gonna open a restaurant. And then when he opened his restaurant, then he thought, actually, I'm gonna open one in the city centre, and that's how he did. And then after that, he just said, I'm kind of done with it. And then he went back to China and opened one back in China.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And in that time, he's like, it's really mad, because when you actually go back to the village, and it's only a very small village. So the first time I went was like 8 years old. And it took about 13, 14 hour car journey from the city back to the village. There was no roads, no nothing. You're going through woods and so on. But now it'll take like 3 hours. That's how much China's developed. But the road leading into the village was there was no roads at the time when I went. No water, no sewage. Electricity was very minimal.
Oh, word.
But now when you look at it, what my dad did was he never actually forgot where he came from.
Yeah.
So he kind of built roads for the people who went to the farms, so they can bring all their produce to the markets and so on. He put a water system, he put a sewage system, he improved the electricity in the area, and kind of made the life of everyone else in that village better. And when you go through the arch now, his name's always on the top. Yeah.
Wow.
What part of China is that?
Very south, so it's quite close to the Pacific Ocean. It's in Guangdong, which is like probably at the southest part of China before Hong Kong kind of way.
Yeah.
Just past Hong Kong a little bit. Yeah.
So when he got over to Hong Kong, he worked there for a
He
period
worked there,
before
yeah.
then moving everyone over to England.
And then he came over to England, yeah. And then he worked here, and then but bear in mind that for 10 years he never spoke to his family because there was no emails.
Yeah.
There was no telephone, because even when I went back to China, there was no electricity, so there was no means of communication. But he had no education, so he couldn't write.
So just sheer force of will then?
Sheer force of will, but even to even when he decided to make money, he just had that drive to keep driving, trying to make it better and better and better. Yeah.
It's just that great story of, we've spoken about it before, haven't we, of adversity and people.
Yeah.
Just giving these people this wonderful determination to just keep fighting against whatever it is that's thrown their way, isn't it, and come out the other end.
Yeah. And I think he was like one of them prime examples, which is why I respect everyone that comes in. No matter everyone who comes in has a story is just amazing. Like there's a customer who comes into my place, and we only met like last month. And every time he comes in, we have the most amazing conversation, because he's from Iran, and he had to escape as a refugee through war. He went to Syria, to another war zone, and then he went to another area which was fighting war, and he moved about, not because of choice, because he has to for survival. Now he's in Egypt, and he's actually a doctor now, trying to save people. And he's in England at the moment because he's trying to pass an exam to try and be a doctor over here. But his story is his enthusiasm is positive, how positive he is, how happy he is in life, and chilled. He amazes me every time he comes in.
Wow, sounds kind of interesting, guy.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. Next time you come in, I'll introduce you to him if he's in. But he's only here for another couple of weeks before he has to go back to save more lives. Pretty much.
So your interest then in wine, did that come from a young age?
No. To be honest, I never drank until I went to London. And I was probably around like 28, so about 7 years ago. And it wasn't until someone who dragged me into a wine bar that I started to get in. The most common question people always ask in our place is, what's your favourite wine? And I don't really have, I tell the question, the answer I always say is, the best wine in the world is who you drink with. The wine doesn't make the occasion, it's the people that you're with that makes the occasion. The wine is supposed to enhance your experience, kind of thing. So I've had, it doesn't matter if you go to Tesco's and buy a £3 bottle of wine, but if the company's good, that £3 bottle of wine would be amazing. Or you can buy a £100 bottle of wine, but if the company's just nagging you for the next hour, you're gonna have the worst hangover. That's guaranteed, and it's nothing to do with the wine, it's to do with the company. But then to kind of, for us, it's a slow process that we have to educate people about how to drink wine, how to appreciate wine, because wine is a science in itself. The people. So every time someone makes a wine, they've got to grow it, they've got to pick it, they've got to spend time, and there's no such thing as a bad wine, which I always say to people, because you can't tell someone who's worked a whole year that what they produce is bad. There's no, they don't work a year to produce bad wine, so there's no such thing as bad wine. It's just that we can't appreciate what it is a lot of the time.
Just we're spoiled brats.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a hard challenge wine, but it's getting better.
Actually, I'd say the only thing that could be classed as a bad wine is you remember Blossom Hill a few years ago, they blew up as a distributor and manufacturer, and now they're making those like wine spritz. But it's like, but they don't even bother to list the grape. They just say mango fusion or something like that. Just barely. It's not even really wine, is it?
Yeah.
But
it's like a lot of the coffee you get's barely coffee now, and like there's big brands in it.
Yeah, it's the rule of thumb nowadays is if you buy wines above like £9 in supermarkets, you're starting to get something that's a bit more quality, and the philosophy is actually if you buy a £5 bottle of wine, £1's gone into tax straight away.
So it's a £4 bottle.
That's a £4 bottle, but you also know that within that £4, £2.61's gone into duty, because that's the law. So just the law itself already took £3.60 off that bottle. So therefore, what's left behind is £1 something. You got to bottle it, you got to transport it, you got to make the markup on the supermarkets. So what actually goes into the grape is probably about 19-20p.
Whoa.
So therefore, if you get it, the duty and the tax is the same. The duty is always £2.60. So if you're getting an £8, it's still going to be a £10 bottle of wine. It's still going to be £2, but the quality of the juice is doubled or tripled by just doing that. And that's where you start to get quality.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So just bear in mind, everyone, that cheap wine is a reason.
What do you feel about like the snobbery around wine? Because it's something that really annoys me. Like we spoke briefly to previous guests, Alison, Lee, and Barry, who are opening a new restaurant in the Albert Dock, and it's about like the way when you drink wine, you all of a sudden have to have this new vocabulary to describe it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're not in the clique.
But it's mad, like, because the terminology that uses it is like it's crazy. How you can describe something. I always tell my staff that you only describe free profiles that people can recognize, and we are not going to say your grandma's socks or whatever, because how do I know what your grandma's socks spells like? But what you're trying to say is just identify whether there's figs, there's tobacco, there's vanilla, very simple stuff, and people start to educate themselves that much, because after time no one really cares. I mean, you drink it and you kind of appreciate the wine, you kind of see what it tastes like, but after time people, it's about who you're with more than anything. But just try and describe making wine simple and accessible is the most easiest way to encourage people to drink wine. So when people come into our place, we always say, like, what would you like? And if they're unsure, we always say, listen, have a taste. The best thing to do is to have a taste. And by offering something free, the psychological thing changes, because they feel like, if you don't like it, do you want to try the next one? Until we find something nice, because at the end of the day, they're the ones who are paying for it. Yeah. Talk about paying. People used to say, does it annoy you when people ask for ice? So ice kind of dilutes the wine and makes it cold. And when
so people ask for ice for red?
For white wine.
For
white wine.
I wouldn't put it past them.
But so some red wines can be chilled as well. But people ask for it because they like it cold and it makes it easy to drink. But really, it doesn't enhance their flavors, because wines, when it's too cold, your taste bud can't taste exactly what the winemaker is trying to do. But yeah, it doesn't bother me though. It's just like, you pay for the wine, you do whatever you want. It's really, you gotta have that like boundary. You can spend all day explaining why, but it's not gonna change if they want ice. So it's just like that. The only thing that I don't do is lemonade. Like, I don't serve lemonade for that reason, to give them the option to mix it, because that's nasty.
You've got to draw a line somewhere.
Yeah, that's just very nasty. Yeah, very nasty. But we kept quite bold, to be honest, in what we do. As in, we haven't done any spirits, we haven't done any draft beers or anything. We just kind of kept it like, we're going to focus on wine. We're going to be a niche, and it takes longer to grow. But we just gotta grow. People have got to experience it, and through word of mouth, that's probably the best way of growing.
It'd probably be the easiest thing in the world for you, wouldn't it, to go, because you must get asked when, say, 4 or 5 people come in and 2 of them don't fancy wine. Oh, you got any ale? Got any lager?
Yeah.
For you to get in bottled lager or just one tap, but
Yeah.
to stay true to what you want to do, it does take some patience, doesn't it? And resilience even.
Yeah, it just kind of. So the ones who always say I don't like wine, and I always blame them days of Blossom Hill. You know, them bad hangovers. You know, they're the ones that you remind them of their childhood when they kind of like, oh shit, this is I hate wine, it gives me headaches, and then go, but actually learn to just like you guys come in, you spend what 2-3 hours every time. You open a bottle 2-3 hours, and through that 2-3 hours, the bottle of wine changes. The conversations change many times in that time, but you'll always remember that night. What a good time! What a good wine that you had. And that's how it should be. But when you notice people who come into our place, a lot of the time you never really see them on phones, which is like they always either talking to someone or actually enjoying where they're at all the time.
Yeah, I feel like you've created that vibe though wonderfully, because you know wine is a little bit, it can come across a bit inaccessible to certain people, maybe even certain people who feel that they're in a certain class, the working class, they can't walk into a wine bar. I feel like maybe because you do the coffee and stuff as well, you got cakes there.
Yeah.
The venue's quite open. You know, it's you don't feel a little bit weird walking in. You don't feel, it's not a venue where you ever really feel underdressed either. I feel, you know, and yeah. Do you think wine though across the board is becoming a bit more accessible to all types of different people? Because I don't know whether I've just noticed this because I'm more into it now, but when I was in like my early 20s, I wouldn't have touched a glass of red wine. But whereas now I see people that age and younger seeing a bottle of wine all the time.
Yeah. I think it's down to food culture. I think the food culture in the last like 10 years have changed a lot. As in people did. So when my parents did things, it was only Italians and Chinese food. You know, that's all we had. And Indian food and curry houses. They were the only foreign. Yeah. But now you got like a wealth of different types of cuisines, different kinds of fusions coming in.
Yeah, Bold Street alone.
Yeah, in Bold Street alone, you know, Duke Street Market are doing some really cool stuff as well. So, you know, that in itself, if people start to concentrate what they're drinking and eating, you start to see this like, okay, people get more interested in you know, food culture. Well, we still lack compared to the rest of Europe, but it's getting better. And it only gets better if like different venues start to open, and we are getting really some good stuff open. We just need to like, people need to support them. This is what I mean. Like I think Duke Street Market is one hell of like an achievement to do for the quality of food and service that they produce. You got a new restaurant just opened in the Baltic, like a Chinese place that's just opened, which is like a fine dining kind of Chinese.
Okay.
So that opened, and that looks pretty like like a step up in the game.
It does.
So if people keep challenging, keep stepping up, it can only get better.
Yeah.
You know, as a city, we can only grow better. So when I was talking about when I came back from Liverpool. And kind of like understanding why we always went to pubs and not wine bars, and part of me always felt like, you know, not everyone's as fortunate as me to go to London or go to other places and experience like different cultures of friends bringing you to wine bars, conversations, and not everyone can have that opportunity in a working class area as Liverpool. So the only thing is like when you come back, is either you bring something back that you took, and you give back in a different kind of way, as in you're trying to educate people in what you've seen, which is exactly the same mentality of what my dad did, kind of thing. Like he went away, he left the country. He never really went back to live in this village, but he always remembered that you gotta appreciate where you come from and kind of give back to what the people is about, and it is that kind of mentality, and you see it around. I mean, there's some great places coming up. You just need people to kind of support them as much as they can and let them grow, and let them. Too much hype happens in Liverpool, that it hypes and then it'll peak and then it'll drop. Yeah. But people need to learn to let themselves grow their business, to understand what it is. And it's only until like 17, 18 months now that we are starting to have an identity ourselves working in there. You know, the staff feel what we're about. You know, and that's and it's taken like a year and a bit for customers to kind of get it as well. So
Yeah, I think it takes a lot of bravery and a lot of patience as well.
yeah, you got to ride it. I mean,
if you set out even with those principles that you've got, and sort of 2-3 months, and it's the doors aren't opening as frequently.
Yeah.
You could easily start thinking, well, do you know what? We'll lash a row of pumps in here, but to stick to that takes a lot of bravery.
Yeah, it does. And to be honest, it's really like at the beginning we when we try to tell people that a coffee shop just sells coffee and a wine place just sells wine, it doesn't get really simpler than that. But we really have to tell people that as well. So people always come in and expect breakfast and some food and all that. And we set out not to really do food. We do a bit of food now, but we set out not just to do coffee. And just to do coffee in a very good way, So we have like a coffee machine that we custom built that's kind of set on a bar, very low level. You actually see the person behind, and you see that when every time they do a shot, they measure the shot, and every time they pull the shot through, they always scale the shot, and it has a time range. So there's the science behind the recipe for consistency, but normally behind a coffee machine, you don't know what happens behind the scene. But now we're so exposed to what it is. It kind of it's more transparent in what we do. So if we make a mistake, someone can see it. So we have open-end bars as well, and that was part of the idea, that we have open-end bars so we can be transparent, to be simple. So the idea is when people sit in there, you can see everything, and nothing's ever really above eye level. I'm not sure I've ever told you that.
I've noticed though, because even when you're slicing up some of the charcuterie, you can see it on the little machine there on the side behind where the pianist sits.
Nothing's really above eye level there, and the idea was kind of not to disrupt the room with the exhibition, so we had to respect the exhibition that was going on at the same time. So one of my loves is photography. It's one of the things I
see that from your Insta. Some great pics on there.
Just kind of takes me away a little bit. So again, a lot of photography that we try to do is we're trying to focus on promoting like film photography, like how photography used to be, how we used to pass photographs around, and waiting for a road to develop. The skill of photography. Everyone's on Instagram as a photographer now, but to actually do it with film, you only have one chance. And we're trying to kind of promote that, which has been really good, because the last 3 months we've had some really like good exhibitions. So we did like a little collaboration with the Tate and the Open Eye. The current exhibition at the moment is called Berlin After the War, where it was photographs taken when the wall came down 30 years ago, and pictures when it revisited, so it's showing the gentrification, showing the redevelopment of the city. So to tie into the Berlin kind of theme, we went to a Berlin coffee roaster, which is like the best, voted the best independent coffee roaster in Europe last year, and we've bought a big batch of coffee beans from Berlin and shipped it over to serve. It's like, listen, when you come in at this moment, we tell people, oh, by the way, our coffee's from Berlin, and this is the exhibition that we're doing at the time. But it's been quite good, because like a couple of days ago there was an article in the Guardian about the exhibition. Okay. And I think today on Radio Merseyside there was a little like interview as well with the photographer about the interview. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's very cool. We had last week we had the founder of Crosby Coffee in. Yeah. And he's just took his team to Berlin. Yeah, they're there now, actually. They're there now. Yeah.
We were struck when we buy the sort of parallels between coffee and wine in terms of your grower, your region,
even
the type of bean.
Yeah, the tasting profiles are exactly the same as well. The terminology used in coffee was actually came from wine, because because they all talk about the terroirs and the profile, the notes and all that,
acidity,
and it all came, and it's exactly the same as the wine, but wine must come way before coffee did. So that's where the coffee trade. Yeah.
Well, did you have to like educate yourself, because you, as you said, what were you doing in London? Sorry, by the way, were you working down there?
I was a baker.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying you didn't really drink, so you didn't kind of at that point know that much about wine at all.
Yeah.
And And did you have to kind of go back to school and learn about coffee and
Yeah.
wine, or is it something that you've cumulatively done?
No. So when we signed a lease for Bow Street, I realised that I'm going to open this wine bar, but I don't know enough about wines, because people, if you want to come to a wine bar and learn about wines, you want to be able the person behind the bar to tell you about the wine.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not just like the tasting profiles telling you about like. So then I kind of like Googled it and say what wine courses are there, and then in the industry there's something called a WSET, so it's WSET, which is like a wine education spirits trust kind of thing, and they have like a set guidelines of how you taste and how you different types of grapes, and determining like which level you're on. It talks about the wines and educates you about wines. So I did like my level 1 and level 2 straight away. I haven't got to level 3 because I think that's just geekery. Yeah, so, but I will do it. I will do it one day. We actually hold some of the lessons. Last year we held a few courses in our space, which people around the area in the industry have come in and done it. So at the moment we're in the application of making it like a certified location for WSET, to as an educational unit.
Okay.
And we'll be like the dedicated kind of unit in Liverpool once we get it, kind of thing.
I do think it's important. Like I won't name them, but I think I told you once, one of the first times that we came in, I was at another wine. It's not many wine bars, but another wine bar in town, and I don't know that much about wine.
Yeah.
I like it a lot, and I'm trying to learn more, but it's probably got a basic knowledge. And I'd said to the girl who was serving us the wine, we bought like quite a nice bottle, and I was just asking her some basic questions just because I was really interested, and it was just like,
No,
I don't know.
Well, worse than that,
it's confidence, isn't it? It's the confidence in giving
exactly
customers back what they're paying for.
Exactly, and it just felt like, because we'd probably spent a bit more than we normally would. One of my mates was up from London, and we spent a bit more than I normally would on a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
But if you're having that relationship, like when we come in to your place and you talk and you tell us about, you brought us out that Priorat, you'll like this, it just doesn't, the money doesn't seem that much of a problem. Whereas if it's just someone just going, I don't know what it is, but it's this much, take it.
Yeah, I feel like a bottle of wine, that was a big commitment. You mentioned before, you get a bottle of wine, it's the equivalent if you're spending, say, 35, 40 quid, for example. It's equivalent to, what, 5, 6 drinks?
Yeah.
It's
normal
a time
alcoholic
commitment,
drinks.
it's
It's a time commitment, you've got to be in there at least 2 hours.
Yeah.
So you deserve a little bit of knowledge behind it,
Or at least a conversation of like mutual, I suppose, respect about what you're there to do.
Yeah.
Sounds a bit wanky, that, but I mean, that's why I suppose they have sommeliers and they have the courses that you've gone on, because there's a lot of.
I feel like though the course maybe that you've done, or maybe it's just your personality coming through. You break down that sort of barrier of snobbiness and accessibility by just being human. You're still giving us the knowledge because you've educated Greg and I several times. The one that you gave me the other week, actually, I bought half a case of it. It's nearly already gone.
What was that?
Nero de Trois.
Nero de Troya.
Nero de Troya, sorry, yeah.
Oh, what's that mean again?
We can't say that.
We can't say that on here.
But yeah, so yeah, you are passing on that education, but you're doing it in a friendly, approachable way.
Yeah, well, hopefully it'll change a little bit more, because we do like about 20 wines by the glass. We're almost guaranteed that we're going to find a glass that someone likes. That's the safest thing, and trying to moving people on from saying I only like a Sauvignon Blanc or Malbec, and try and go, actually let's try something. We'll still serve you a Malbec, but on the side we might give you something and say, why don't you try this? And then they start to realise, I like that. And if the chances of them ordering another glass, ordering the same glass, is probably less, because they probably go, actually I like that one. And that's where you start, and then you get basically like a little drug dealer, give them something free, and then later they're hooked on it, and then they come back and say, just give me something that you like.
Does that feel like a little success?
I've got him now. I
like that though. That's one of the best things about it, I think, is that you go on a journey.
And people come in now and just go, and say, just give me what you like. I said, what do you feel like? you know, and it's really mad because sometimes us being in this environment is funny because I remember one time I went to a wine tasting and some guy said to me, "It's like, what wines you like?" And he said, "What music do you listen to?"
Really?
Yeah, and I was like, "Well, what do you feel like tonight?" And then it's like, if you say I feel like something rock and roll, you'll find you a wine that's kind of a bit more wacky, a bit more thing. If you want something like say you're in for like a classical night, like, and he'll probably find you something very smooth, very like soothing kind of thing. And it's weird because like how your sensories of humans, how we kind of just like relate to music, and then you kind of relate it to what we drink as well.
Yeah.
So but going back to coffee, no, I didn't do any coffee training. I can't even make a coffee.
Just employ good baristas.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Well, yeah, good training with baristas is really important. Making sure that we have all the equipment now to be very consistent. So we have a lot of the top of the range stuff. So a lot of human error comes out of it. So so we scale. So what goes in, what goes out. So that's almost, whatever comes out has to be within a certain time range, because otherwise you can under and over extract the coffee. So a lot of the human error is already done by that. And if it doesn't pull right, if it doesn't come out right, we always just tell them, start again, do another one. We're not serving it. We gotta have the confidence and not serve. This is one thing that hospitality it has to learn, that it has to be good, and if it's not good enough, don't serve it. You know, whether you have to waste a bottle or whatever. If you think it's not right, then you gotta have the confidence to say, no, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
And it's the same with what we do, really. Like the other day, a customer tasted wine, and it wasn't right because I tasted it, and then I said, "Listen, I get you a new bottle."
So it was a corked or something?
Yeah, it just didn't taste fresh. It wasn't wrong with it.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, we still drank it, but we didn't serve it. You know, it just didn't feel fresh and alive as it should be.
Yeah.
But that's because individually, you know, if you have the confidence to do that, the customer who sees it go, actually, that was quite nice, that, because anywhere else probably would have served it. Because what we did is we give her a glass of the wine that we didn't serve, and she was like, yeah, I probably would have just taken it. I was like, but now you've had this one, you look at, you compare, now you know, so next time you kind of like learn what it's about. We did have a cork wine one time. Very rare it happens, but we did have one cork wine last year, and what we did was we left it behind the bar, and people who sat at the bar, we let them have a taste. So they'll understand next time they go to a place, and if it's corked, they know what a corked wine tastes like. Because we always say it's corked, but we don't know what a corked wine is.
What does that actually mean? Does it mean the cork's already gone through? It's fell into the liquid?
It's spoiled because it's probably more down to like storage, and when you keep wines upright and oxygen. It dries the cork and the oxygen goes into the wine.
I see, yeah.
And it oxidizes the wine.
It doesn't just mean the cork deteriorated necessarily then?
No.
Oh,
no,
okay.
There's a few other things, but...
I had one last week where when I was opening the wine,
Yeah.
the cork snapped.
Okay,
Yeah,
So it was obviously quite brittle.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I assumed, and that wasn't right, it didn't taste right.
Yeah, so probably like some kind of like something's happened to that bottle. It's a lot of the time it's storage of wines.
So corked is just a generic term for something where oxygen's
Yeah,
got in, basically.
Kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah.
It's where it's a spoiled kind of wine. But yeah, it tastes like wet cardboard.
Yeah.
It's very weird.
Unpleasant,
Yeah, it's very like it just smells like wet cardboard and tastes like wet cardboard. And when we give them to customers to have a try, they kind of understand. Oh yeah, it does kind of smell like cardboard, but it's a lot of the time. If you didn't know what you were doing, you went to a restaurant, they served you it, and you would just happily just drink it, thinking whatever, that's what the wine is. But we shouldn't. You should keep standards.
I love your approach to everything you've described. Even the way that you're talking about the way that you've built the architecture in the venue to always maintain eye contact, and the way that you're educating customers all the time. Like, where did you learn to run your business like that?
Probably growing up with the family being in the hospitality trade. Because bear in mind, now it's very easy with social media. Back then, you're this Chinese kid or Chinese family in a very dominant Western city. You know, at the time growing up 30 years ago, there wasn't that many Chinese people or foreign people here. So therefore, you gotta gain trust of the locals, which you know is quite hard sometimes. You know, we're treading on their turf. Kind of thing. So therefore you're trying to bring like, you know, Chinese food to them, and you're trying then again you got to make friends with them, but without like a language barrier, because my parents didn't really have education. So you got to treat people very differently, and you don't always have to know a language to treat someone nice. There's little gestures. You know, little gestures like, you know, Christmas, and my dad would probably say, oh yeah, there's some extra food or whatever. Little, you know, when you go to the old-fashioned Chinese restaurant, they go, oh, you can have this one at the house, or you could do, and they always do it, don't they?
Yeah.
And it's part of like that culture in China that you always offer things and offer food, and I think that's probably what
Under promise, over deliver.
yeah, kind of thing. But I think back then, growing up as a migrant kind of family was very different, because I'm first generation born here. I think growing up is a very different kind of city. I was the only Chinese kid throughout school.
I was going to say, because Liverpool has one of the oldest Chinese communities, but it doesn't mean it's a big one.
No.
And it's the Liverpool that, I guess, we're similar ages, and the Liverpool I grew up in isn't particularly multicultural.
No.
I mean, you've always had the South
not like
End.
what it is now.
Not like now,
yeah.
The South Liverpool parts of it have
Yeah.
always been like, there's quite been like a West Indian, Caribbean community. Then there's been the Chinese community, and then an Italian community that goes back probably
even further.
Yeah. But they're not massive.
Yeah.
It's predominantly been sort of like white, Catholic, Protestant, Irish, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's not really strong. Even now, I don't think the Chinese community is strong. I don't think, like, you know, I joke about it, but I shouldn't. But like at Chinese New Year, I always show up at Chinatown, and people are always like, "Why'd you go? You hate this event." I was like, well, I've got to represent the Chinese people coming, because honestly, there's no one there that's Chinese, and honestly, it's not going to be Chinese New Year if no one there is Chinese. So I always just got to show up, and I just stand there, and people are just laughing out, and I joke about it, but it's very true. Like they don't really, they you know. I mean, in in their generation, what they've gone through, you know, China went rich way quick, too quick, and to be honest, and they went from nothing to something. Even now, the superpower, and I think it's the same with like the Chinese mentality that they're always chasing money, but not realizing that they got to reinvest in back to community and to social things. So what you always see Chinese people is they always work hard. You know, there's always that saying in Liverpool, oh, the Chinese, there's never trouble, they just work. You know, they never cause trouble, which they don't, but they always work. They always work in chippies and restaurants, and they always work. And there's always got to be a Chinese kid in a Chinese chippy. There's always got to be a kid just lingering around, isn't there, all the time? It's funny because like they just make money, go home, and that's it. But they never really stick together as a community to grow and making sure the next generation doesn't suffer. Or let's improve the next generation. Let's build a community centre. Let's do this. And you don't really see it much in the chat. Consider like how well known the Chinese, you know, the oldest Chinatown is, but we don't really do as much as Chinese people, and even myself. You know, because they don't really care. They just want to just make their money, keep quiet, and then kind of stay behind doors.
Don't want to shout about it.
Yeah,
Just don't want to show off, I guess, as well.
Yeah.
Everyone's a fucking show off now.
Yeah. They probably don't know. They haven't discovered Instagram.
They can't get on it, it's blocked.
Did your dad know that you were going to open a wine and coffee place? What's he make of it?
So it's funny because like, you know, when he died, the last conversation we had was like 2 days before he passed away, and he was in the I was going to say the Hotel Royale, but it's the Royal Hospital. I always call it the Hotel Royale because everyone goes there for a night out, don't they, and stay there.
It's definitely not 5-star.
So he woke up at like 3-4 a.m. in the morning. So being Chinese, you know, we always stick by people. You know, when they're ill, you know. It's part of our culture, kind of thing. So you kind of you kind of sit. So when he was ill in the hospital, I stayed there throughout the night. And we just sit by the bedside. If he needs any assistance, you're there. And he woke up like 3-4 a.m. one night, and he's like, so your business, what is it about? And I was like, well, we do coffee, you do wine. And then he goes like, how much you buy the wine? How much you going to sell the wine? How much people are going to walk in? What's it? You're not going to sell food. That's how you're going to make money. Because bear in mind, he's an absolute businessman from
right to the end.
Just
right
in
to
his
the end.
DNA, like, yeah.
Yeah, it's just in his, like, to the last conversation he was talking about, like, you know, you should start looking at this direction. He was very smart as a person, very switched on, and he said to me, he said, nah, this isn't going to work. That's what he said. He said, just looking at your sums, nah, and it's not going to work. And I said, no, it's about education. It's one of them. It's one of them really very, very strange businesses where, yes, it has to make money, yes, it has to make profit to make it sustainable, but dominantly the criteria is kind of to educate the people, to learn about the wines, to improve people about the coffee culture, to making sure that people, when they sit in there, although they didn't come into a gallery, is to absorb the artwork through social element, to kind of not knowing that they've already done it. Yeah, but they've already absorbed artwork without knowing, you know. And every time it comes, so every 6 weeks we change, and it was about a cultural thing of kind of. It's a very rare business that is more about like kind of let's improve people's understanding than actually the profit side of thing, and the profit will follow. Because one thing that we always learn is if you always chase money, it's never a good thing. But chase for a reason, then the money will follow you, you know. So trying to reverse the way business kind of run, I guess.
Well, that's the way the biggest businesses in the world now, modern businesses, they're pre-profit for years and years and years.
Yeah.
As they call it, pre-profit.
Yeah.
Meaning that they're not making money.
Yeah.
Basically.
Building.
Yeah.
Just going back to the investors. Uber, I think, were until very recently. Amazon,
Really?
yeah, Amazon went for over
years.
15 years or something, was it Amazon?
What?
Something ridiculous like that, yeah. Yeah, look, some of the biggest companies in the world were pre-profit for years. I think Airbnb, same, Deliveroo, all them
So
big
how is it sustainable?
because they just keep going back to the investors and growing and growing the customer base, and we'll ask for money later, or sometimes even deeper than that, we'll work out how to monetize it later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we had Clemens in, didn't we?
Yeah.
His was the same. He's a tech entrepreneur. He's based in down the Baltic way.
Yeah.
And he'd been building this business for years now, and it was pre-profit. And he was like, we were like, well, where's it going? You know, what's the business? He was like, well, we talk about it, but we haven't quite worked it out yet.
But yeah, for us, it's like whenever we make money, it's kind of like putting it back. Let's find some new wines. Let's make the space something different. Let's do. And one thing that I think that I try to do, because I worked as a baker, is the mental health of staff or their well-being. Not necessarily mental health, but making sure that they're happy is the core for any business, I think.
100%.
Because they're the ones, like, it's mad because, like, I took them out for dinner yesterday, and we went to Baccaro's, and you know, we have 5 girls that work for me, not by choice, because we wanted guys, but it was only girls' application that kind of came through, and we come to an area where, like, you know who runs the show, and it is girls. The girls on Roast and Twines run the show, because if they weren't there, I wouldn't be here. I'll be working now, and literally that's how it is, and it's about making sure that they grow.
100%.
That's really important, and making sure that they always keep learning. You know, that's the main thing, because otherwise you lose interest, because making coffee and pouring wine only gets as interesting as that. But making sure that they're still connected and feel part of it is the hardest part. But keeping them stable mentally is probably the secret to why Ropes and Twines is still kind of there. If we kind of ran it through profits and margins, the stresses of them, the uncertainty of them getting salaries and all that, it doesn't work. You got to make sure that they're happy, and then they'll look after it.
You take a similar approach, don't you?
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I always say to to staff that work for Love Nursing, come now everyone, you don't work for me, like I work for you.
Yeah.
So we employ over 90 care staff, and I say to all the staff that work in the office, you know, we work for the carers because they're out there delivering care.
Yeah.
They're doing one of the toughest jobs that you can possibly do.
Yeah.
And we've got to make sure that they've got the right support and they've got all the tools they need.
Yeah.
And you know, if they need anything, come to us, and we've got to make ourselves available, make ourselves accessible to provide that support, because ultimately it does help the business in the long run, because the happier we make them, the more likely they are to go to work with a smile on the face and deliver a higher standard of care, which in turn pleases the customer or the client, which in turn pleases us. And that's, you know, it's 2019 and everything's being done now. There's multiple businesses doing the same thing all over the place. So you've got to be bold, you've got to be different, you've got to be brave, like what you've done.
Yeah, I totally agree with that one. Absolutely agree with that.
You know, when you were saying about the looking after the welfare of your staff again, but you sort of prefaced that by saying because you're a baker. What did you mean by that?
Well, when I was a baker, I used to start work. So I'm not sure if I've done it to you. So when you come in at like 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock, I always go morning. Have I ever done it to you?
I don't think so.
No, right. So it doesn't matter. So no matter what time of day. So no matter what time of day, I always whenever I greet people, I always say morning. Right. They go like, "Why?" I was like, "Because it's the first time I've seen you today." But it all happened. It all evolved because when I was a baker, I used to start at midnight. So in the kitchen that we used to work in, the restaurant staff were just closing down, getting ready at a long shift and ready to go home and, you know, do whatever they want, and then you're coming into work and you go morning. But during that night shift, you're pretty alone, because during the daytime there's like 50 people in the brigade working. During the night there's like 3 or 4, and the night cleaners. And it's quite a lonely place to be. When you people don't understand that when you finish work at like 9, 10 o'clock, you leave. It's daylight. You got to sleep through daylight, or you got to see people and you got to chat to people.
Isolating, that, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a very and it's not really a nice. What happens is the people that you work on night shifts become your kind of family, and the wealth. I mean, I love what it did. The company that I work for paid a little bit more for working night shift. But we got to respect that people have to have days off. They got to make sure, like, I try with the staff, so I don't do the rotas, so I let the girls do it. But I always say to them, it's like, if you can, is to get 2 days off on the run every week.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
It's massive, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Massive. You can't have like split days. It doesn't really work, because you can't. You can't have a break. And I said, we'll try and get 2 days on a run. I mean, if it doesn't, because of hospitality, if it doesn't, then it doesn't.
Yeah.
But try your best and make sure that they get, like, you know, certain times. But we change all the time. But at the moment, because it's winter, so during the summer we were doing like long shifts because the day was longer. But then we realised that now, come to the bad weather, you can't do enough on your day. So we kind of cut the hours to 6-hour shifts. So no one does more than 6 every day. Or maybe on the weekend it might be 7 or 8, but no one does really more than 6 on average day. So therefore the ones who come in later could do stuff in the day, or the ones who finish late have still enough time of the day to kind of enjoy the rest of the night. And we're trying to keep it that way, really. Trying to like kind of make their hours short but be more productive in terms of the service, for, you know, being at the front line of kind of serving people, making sure that they're happy and enjoying that 6 hours, or having the 9-hour shift and then the last 3 hours being grumpy. You know, that's the other dilemma. You know,
it's the right way. So many businesses could learn from what you're doing, creating that culture.
Yeah, I hope. This is one thing that I hope, and when I worked in London, the company that I worked for were always very fortunate. Was the owner recognised that about staff, about their well-being, making sure they get a couple of days off, making sure that they're not exploited in kind of like working too many hours. You know, and they kind of like put a law, like they kind of say, you're not going to work more than this. Because a lot of time in hospitality, you get like a contract of like, whatever, 40 hours pay, but really you might do 50 hours because you don't really include cleaning up or customers staying behind and so on. Do
you mean like you just pay based on the opening hours?
Yeah, kind of thing. It's kind of like that's your salary.
In theory.
In theory, that's your salary, but all that little bit setting up and all that and coming in early and you kind of, the staff come in and do it because they need to do it, but really they still got to work. We try what we try to do is try not to exploit that kind of avenue. So if they do try and work a little bit, like a couple of girls are working more hours than they pay for this week, but I'm sure in a couple of weeks' time we're going to repay them back through, they probably work one less shift. I'm sure when we get the right balance, on a quiet time, we say, go home early, kind of thing. So they kind of get it back and try and be as fair as possible. Because throughout the year, you win and lose.
Well, you must see that then. You must have a really low turnover staff.
Yeah. So there's 5 staff now. 2 of them are fairly new. When I say fairly new, 3-4 months, and the other 3 have been there since day one.
And that's not very atypical of the hospitality industry, food and drink, is it?
Really high.
It's like turnover must be every other week or a few weeks or someplace.
So the 3 girls have been there since day one. Most of the staff that have been there and left are only because they're leaving the city. Yeah, kind of thing. So it's keeping that balance. I mean, it takes time, you learn as well, because, I'm sure I made mistakes through it. I'm sure we at the beginning, we overemployed. Because you have to, in a business that you don't know what's going to happen, you have to. So I'm pretty sure at the beginning we made mistakes in that as well, and then slowly and then we can find your team. Then it does take time to find your team that you trust, find your team that they understand how each other works as well. Yeah. But it has taken about 1.5 years now, well, less than 1.5 years. But now I feel like the ropes and twines at the moment is probably as strong as it has been, like in terms of identity. The staff know who they are, they know their jobs, the customers know what we do. It's taken a period, but hopefully it'll get better.
What's it like being on Bold Street? Because it's a special street, isn't it? For Scousers, we love it, but there's a lot of competition. I guess rates are high because it's Bold Street. I mean, what's it like being a business owner there?
Well, it's frustrating. Yeah, because there's heavy footfall. So university going down, people going to university. So it's a heavy footfall kind of street. But the spending value of the street is not much. So the average person that goes through Bow Street walks through Bow Street, but don't actually spend in Bow Street.
It's just a nice
it's a through. Yeah, so you kind of either go to Liverpool 1 and spend your money there. Yeah. Or you walk back on your way home and get in the 86 back to Smithdown, kind of thing. So the actual spending culture in Bow Street isn't that much. It lacks a bit more. It needs more retail. There's too many food places at the moment.
That retail's more or less abandoned it, because remember there used to be like where the Lyceum was. There was like a clothes shop moved in there that didn't last.
Well, Church Street and Bold Street was the old L1, really, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that was
it was. Yeah.
So it's just largely, what would you say, 80% food and drink?
Yeah.
The top half must be more than that, even. Top half of Bold Street.
It's mad how like the top half and the bottom half is such a different kind of vibe.
Yeah. Is that deliberate? Is the way it's all independence down there again? Is that deliberate? Is like, you know the way in like Brighton?
Yeah.
Down the lanes, only independent businesses can be there. Yeah. Is there a rule like that there, or is it just kind of have they just happened upon it? No.
So I think this is what happened. There was a company called Frensons, and it was run by Max Stone and Wendy, and at the time they owned a lot of properties in Bow Street, and they still do. And when they were given out to tenants, they made sure that the tenants were the right tenants. That they made sure that the tenants were like kind of independent or doing the right thing, that kind of fit. So if it didn't feel like if Bow Street needed that, they probably wouldn't.
So that's really good, isn't it?
Yeah, but this happened like back in 2008, and I think 2008 kind of was a stage in the city that in growth was really important, as in Liverpool 1 was open, so a lot of the independents couldn't really afford to go into Liverpool 1, so they had to move out, and Bow Street was the option. And I think that kind of changed that revolution about Bow Street, because Bow Street over the last like 40 years go up and down.
Yeah.
I think at the moment it's going a bit down. At the moment, there's a few more. It's looking a bit tired at the moment, but it was all down to like people's mentalities. Like, oh, you know, instead of like going, oh, someone's giving you more money to go in here, it's actually finding the right people to go in to make that street kind of work. Because you're not really a landlord unless there's a tenant kind of thing.
That's great that they've done that. They've really given the city something great, then, haven't they?
Yeah, they
by not just not taking the
unknowingly
money.
did it, you know, unknowingly knowing what it is. But I always say, like, there's always been that debate that we always have about like pedestrianising Bow Street.
Yeah.
So I always this is the example I always give. If you stand by where the Oxfam is on that junction, so just in between the beginning and the end of the pedestrian zone, then, and you always look at the top half is always kind of like thriving, quite vibrant, and the bottom half is full of people who stop you for charities.
Yeah.
And this is
It is very much a street of two halves, isn't it?
Yeah. So you stand and you go, the pedestrian side, there's loads of people standing there asking you to sign up for this charity,
You get your phone out.
Yeah,
And
then everyone disperses and spreads and try and avoid them. So when they stand in the middle, they move to the left and move to the right. And this is what happens on that. And then on the top half, no one stops you.
Yeah.
So they stay together close.
Yeah.
So this is the difference between pedestrianisation and cars. But the actual cars service the streets so much that the amount of truck drivers, the amount of delivery drivers delivering to businesses, using that as a hub to kind of move to the other side streets and so on.
Yeah.
But the likes of Matters, who've been there for like 30, 40 years, their delivery vans and all that.
Yeah.
If we start to pedestrianise that, it doesn't half disrupt how that street works. They go
True enough,
understand.
Didn't think of that.
No, I didn't.
But, so and the amount of like, and another thing that I always raise about it is, you know, we were talking about equality before. Is like disabled people. There's not many street level disabled spaces in town, close enough to town, to Bow Street, where people can just get out, go for a meal, and go in. Because when you go to Liverpool one, it's not as easy as to move around with someone with a disability.
Yeah.
You know, and I think Bow Street is one of them streets that are known to go drive down with your flashy cars, or the disabled people know that they can just park and just go onto street level.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's mad because when you actually look at it now, you're going to walk down Bow Street and go, you're right there. Everyone tries to stop you for charity things, but nothing happens at the top.
Yeah, well, it's that as well, bro. So even people who are able-bodied, you can nip into town and meet somebody for a coffee after 6 p.m. and you don't have to pay for parking. You can park outside the venue.
Yeah.
You know, especially obviously it's coming into winter now. You can park. I go to Mowgli a lot. You park right outside. It's great. Whereas if you take that away, all of a sudden the only places you can park is in the queue park.
Yeah.
And you're adding that £5-10 onto your bill for your food, aren't you? That you're paying for parking.
Yeah.
But even like on the weekend when the bollard comes off, like 8 o'clock, that doesn't have changed. The street just automatically just goes quiet because cars can't go down, people can't drop people off, taxi drivers can't go down there, and that doesn't half affect the business traders after certain hours as well. But Bow Street's a really weird one because like after 7 o'clock, after people's gone home, 6 o'clock say, the street dies unless you're going for something to eat.
Yeah.
You go for something to eat, but then you go home. Because we don't really have a culture of hanging around in city centres because we don't have traffic jams in Liverpool. Whereas if you went to Manchester and you finished about 6, 7, you'd probably go, oh, let's get something to eat because we're going to be stuck in traffic anyway.
Yeah.
And that's where you linger around town. But in Liverpool, you don't really linger around because there's no such thing as a traffic jam.
Well, it's getting worse.
We're getting all these roadworks now, by the way. I was coming home from town the other night, I think it was Tuesday, and it took me from the gym, Radisson, to Kirby, an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Because the Strand
coming down
Street.
Past Great Howard Street, and then there's roadworks down there, and then there must be something going on in Crosby because that was backed up all the way to the Water Seaforth roundabout. Then down Switch Island was all backed up, and then again into Kirby where I live, and there's roadworks all there, and even on the Wirral now as well. I work on the Wirral, coming towards the Beckenhead Tunnel.
Yeah.
There's roadworks constantly all over the place. So they're helping you out. Maybe people start staying in town having a bevy.
Hopefully.
Isn't it like, you know, again, Bold Street, I'm banging on about it, but I'm fascinated by it, really. You've got a Costa, a Nero, this stuff off the top of my head, Bold Street Coffee, probably about another 2 coffee places that I can't remember.
Yeah.
And it's like people are spoiled for choice in one street to go for coffee.
Yeah.
It's like it's so competitive, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. What we do, I think when we look at the coffee shops, then you got your Costas and your Neros, which are like the ones that destroy what coffee is about, because they're serving coffees at different sizes and so on. Like we serve a latte at one size, a flat white is one size. There's that's what it is. And when customers go, can we have an extra large or whatever? But no, that's what it is. That's the reason why it's called that. And then you got Bow Street Coffee, which is like the probably the first pioneers of coffees in Liverpool. They've probably been doing it the longest as well. And they've got their own like community kind of thing. That grows with them. They've done it very good. It's cool.
Yeah.
And I was there yesterday.
They're selling alcohol there as well.
Yeah,
Are they?
they sell wine as well. Yeah.
Are they? Yeah, you back off.
No, it doesn't. If more people do it, the more interest it brings. If more coffee shops happen and educate people, the more people start to understand coffee culture.
Yeah.
So that there's no such thing as competition. I never really seen them as competition because we're very different.
Yeah.
In how we serve coffee, because like we come in, we always serve like water. We always give people like sparkling. It's that continental kind of thing, and it's that little detail that really matters to us. But no, they're great. Like yesterday, I was in Bow Street Coffee yesterday. Sometimes you just need time out away from your own place, and I go there and people think, oh, you're not going, why are you drinking coffee? But it is not such a thing. You just you go wherever you go.
Yeah, it's a great place.
Yeah, it's a cool place to be in, to be honest.
I read somewhere that, and it was again on that competition front, someone was saying like they did a study based on ice cream stalls on the beach, and even though there were 3 close, really, really close together, in theory you'd think, well, it's rubbish because like, how are you going to make money? The fact that there were more encouraged more trade, and they all did more business. So coffee's booming in theory. It is booming, absolutely. And I think straight away, if there's any level of discernment, you'd rather go to yours or Bold Street rather than Nero or Costa. So it's like, it's a spirit of, I imagine you encourage one another. There's a good community there.
Yeah, absolutely. I always feel like the more the better.
Yeah.
I think with when you try. So we're bringing back to actually when my dad first started the restaurant in town, and when he did TSO's as a restaurant where he served initially, it didn't make much money, so he had to like really diversify what he was doing. So he was the first one to do like eat as much as you like.
Really?
Yeah.
The buffet?
Yeah, in Liverpool, right?
The concept started in America or something?
Yeah, but he was the first one to kind of to start it in Liverpool. And at the time, it was busy. People were coming in. It was like, wow, for 15, 18 quid, you eat as much as you like, whereas like an average meal would have cost whatever. So people were coming in, and it was really busy. And he only served like 15 dishes. Where now you go to buffets, it's like 50 odd. So we started that. And then when the May Sum opened, it's closed now, but it was by the station. That was another massive, like, big restaurant, eat as much as you like. And people say, oh, that's your competition. And actually, they made us better because people started to realise what buffet eats as much as you like. So it kind of educated, so it kind of drove the economy better for us. So we actually got busy. Buffet to buffet. I really started to compare. I was like, if this one's busy, there's another one around the corner. And then that's how it was. And it's the same with Bow Street, I guess, with food. People go to Bow Street, go like, we're bound to find some. If some place is full, there's bound to be another one that's free.
Definitely.
And I think that's how it works. And back in the days, there was only a few. When we're talking about 2005, there was only a handful of restaurants there. There's the Italian club. There's a few Indian restaurants, and that was it. That was all Bow Street was. It was very dominant, like a retail kind of place. Yeah. But now when you go down, it's completely the other way around now.
There's been quite a few failures there, though, hasn't there, as well, especially this year.
Yeah.
Quite a few, really good places that the on the outside looked like they were doing really well.
Yeah.
They were set up well. They had lovely
Spent
shop
a lot of money on
fronts,
the
spent a lot of
frontage,
money. They seem to be thriving if you looked at the social media, and then they've just disappeared.
Yeah.
What mistakes do you think they were making? Do you think there's a pattern there?
I think it's understand what Bow Street is about. I think people, you got to realise that, I mean, people aren't willing to spend so much for lunch, and you got to really concentrate that the heaviest footfall is lunch.
Mm-hmm.
The heaviest, like, the most people in that saturated time is lunch, where during daytime. And if you ain't gonna, and not many people are gonna spend, 15 quid for lunch, because you got Greg's. This is the thing. You got Greg's where you spend like 3 or 4 quid and you get your lunch and then you're out. But rent and rates and staff are the ones that people neglect in businesses, I think, on Bow Street, because they're not big to sit like loads of seats when it's busy. So when you're busy, you only sit what you can sit. But they're small enough, but you got to employ the staff for them periods, and I think that's where the killers are.
So you're saying the answer is like to have a trade, the day and a night trade?
Yeah, or have the concept that works in both ways.
Like Leaf nail it, don't they?
Oh, yeah,
you go at
absolutely.
Leaf any time of the day or night,
that.
even Saturday night, and it is there's a boss atmosphere in there. Yeah. Even when it's busy, it doesn't feel like it's too busy. You get served.
It's pure size.
When it's quiet, it doesn't feel like you're sitting on your own.
Yeah, so it's pure size. We have a problem with our one is sometimes we can be quiet, and because the way we done it made it massive space. Sometimes it could be quite, this is a big space to sit to film.
And the white looks really bright and colorful.
Yeah. The funny thing is, like, we noticed that like we kind of opened to think, during the weekday we open daytime coffee and the nighttime wine bar, but we realised that really on a weekday no one really drinks wine. No one really hangs out to go out, let's have a bottle of wine. It doesn't happen in the city. So we only just open late on Friday and Saturday.
Oh, okay.
But we learned that just because what we think and what we get is totally different.
Yeah.
Because we kind of realised that there's no point opening after that. That really we should really concentrate on when people are in the area, because when people are not in, there's no point doing it. I mean, because the majority is like everyone's probably going to Leaf because they have cocktails, they have teas, they have everything for everyone, and that's why they go.
Yeah.
And whereas we are not, people have to come to us when they want a wine, and then really it's only a Friday and Saturday. So that's why we had to change. So we don't open late, and that saves us on staff cost.
I've been patioed all a couple of times, and I've gone in at like 5 to 7 on Wednesday. I suppose I learned this from DJing as well. Like, you can only go so long as well staying open when you're not busy, because then you get this reputation for being empty. It's always dead in there. It's always dead in there.
Yeah. You walk past and there's always like 2 people in there, and that's what and for that 2 people, it's not nice.
Yeah.
And for the business, it wasn't good, so we might as well just concentrate on 2 days.
So you have to be quite adaptable and decisive in your decision making.
Yeah, in making it. And instead, we kind of do like, let's concentrate on doing like little quirky events. Like launching a gallery, or we had like a silent movie on the other night, kind of thing.
What's that?
Yeah, a silent movie, but someone was playing the piano.
Did you do the soundtrack?
To the movie, yeah.
What?
Yeah, so as people was watching, someone was playing it. It was quite an intimate kind of thing, but instead of just kind of focusing on like doing little bits like that, really. Which is what it's about. But I think people need to adapt to the street and understand that what they see in Bow Street, thinking, wow, it's really busy, but really, after a certain hour, it there's nothing existing in town on a weekday, which you don't see.
Yeah, true. Got a couple of quick wine nerd questions for you. While we've got you here, you can't go anywhere just yet.
Spend first.
What's your take on organic wine?
Yeah, cool. I like it.
You like it?
Yeah.
We've had mixed experiences with it.
Oh, you mean like natural
Just
stuff?
Okay. There's a place. I can't name it obviously, but there's a place round the corner from you.
Oh, Bunch. I love them.
Lovely place. Yeah. No, yeah, they're great.
I love them.
Yeah.
So I've been in there, and the wine I got, and I've had this experience multiple times. It's not a dig at them, but it just tastes really vinegary. Do you know when you get like a fermented drink?
Right. Okay. It's a very so. You get organic wines, which is like we do organic wines where the farm it's the practice of farming, kind of thing. So, and single handedly, the farmers who respect organic wines tend to it costs more to maintain the land. How organic a land can be is a question mark, because if a pest came to attack your crop, you're telling me you're just going to let it happen. You know, when you rely on that money, you know there's got to be some kind of boundaries and grey areas, and natural wines is like a thing that's kind of coming into very good fashion. You know, people like it. The wine bottles are always funky. It's very Instagrammable and so on. Do I like it? It gives me a different dimension to wines that I really like challenging. So the wines that you have in my place are very like refined. So winemakers' techniques, you know, what's been passed on for years. Now you get young people who are making wines going, actually, we're going to keep this in. We're not going to filter this. We're going to keep this in because it's going to give you a new, purer identity to what the grape is all about.
But is it pure though? I mean, if something's been people need to remember, like, we've been here for a long time. Like, we're coming with these new ideas. Oh, I'm going to make it more pure. Well, how are you? Like, people have done it this way for years, and often, even if something is seen as unnatural, usually there's a reason for it.
I like them. I get on with Bunch really well. So before we opened, I went in and I loved it. I keep going there, and I said to him, "Listen, by the way, I'm opening a wine bar," but not knowing that he was opening a wine bar. But I said, but you do with natural wines, and I respect it. It's totally, if you think me opening a wine bar is a big gamble, what he's doing is a bigger gamble. Yeah, is an even bigger one.
Yeah, I got full respect for that guy. I just haven't found an organic
wine
that I like.
Maybe it's just a matter of time.
Maybe we'll
I think it's just like,
I
think it's one of them. It's at the beginning, I hated natural wines. Like I've had some bad ones, horrific ones as well.
So they don't smell nice either, do they?
Yeah.
You talk about the contribution.
They say it smells organic, but basically it smells like a farm.
Exactly.
Basically, yeah.
But I said to them that we won't serve natural wines by the glass in ours, because we got to help each other as a community. People got to understand that that's your niche, and if people ask us for natural, we send them up the road. Go up there.
It's wonderful,
because it's only when wine coaches, people who we share customers anyway. You know, if people want to come in and know stuff, we're gonna go, okay, well, why don't you just go to Bunch and try their wines? You know, it's nothing wrong with what we do, but let's respect what we do. So that's why we never serve natural wines by the glass. However, that might change. Not change as in we're not going to sell by the glasses, because we started like a retail kind of avenue in the business now. That we contacted Bunch, because he imports wines himself, that we'll buy some wines off him as wholesale and sell as a retail. Only a few for people who are interested, and the people who want to know more. We can really divert our customers and say there's more natural wines up the road and go in, but it's only for a point of interest for people to start to realise that natural wine is something that's kind of coming into fashion, which you've always got to follow the trend, but we won't serve it by the glass.
Second wine nerd question.
Go on.
Is Brexit going, like, I know we're tired of talking about it, but is it going to have like genuine ramifications for the wine industry because of the price of tax? And
yeah, absolutely. So we talk about our wine merchants. So 6-7 months ago, they had some like financial advisor saying, well, when Brexit happens in October, you know, the pound's gonna drop. It's gonna, your stock's gonna be, you're best buying in now just to kind of like ride the tide, but just kind of soften the blow after Brexit kind of thing. So they decided to put 1.5 million into wine stock and just held it, right? But then it never happened. October never happened. So therefore they've got like this 1 point something million just standing in there. But what happens is when the wine prices drop. I give you an example which was really mad. Was when we ordered the Berlin coffee,
Yeah.
which the bill was was like 1,300. So there's quite a pricey kind of coffee that we bought in for it, but not knowing that the day I went to pay for it in the bank was the day that Boris Johnson said we got a deal and the pound shot up. But I didn't know that. But when I actually seen my bank transaction, I was like, whoa, I saved like 100 odd quid
Oh wow.
just because of that little spike
Yeah.
Wow.
on the euro. So if I can save 100 odd quid on the bill, that's like, £1,000 something pound.
Shows how
Imagine
easily things
1.5 million.
Yeah.
How much you could have saved on that.
Yeah.
On that
Oh,
little
yeah.
It's mad, and that's how the wine trade is going to think. Because when you import wine, the duty is going to be the same, but the value of the pound is going to.
Oh, so the duty won't change.
The duty won't change because that's set by the law
Right.
over here, but the pound is going to be, it's going to be
Volatile.
low, isn't it?
But it
But
shows
everything else as well, though, not even like everything that we buy in, it's going to affect the working class more than anyone, I think.
sounds.
I'm all
Right,
done
well-
with my nerd questions now.
Yeah, he's done. He's happy.
He's happy.
Thanks so much for coming in, mate, and being
No
so
problem.
generous with your time.
Yeah,
And
cool, man. I'm
we
happy
will-
to game down. So
Enjoy.
I can guarantee we will see you probably in a couple of hours, mate. To be honest. See you soon.
I won't be here.